This program is brought to you by LGT Crestone, local private wealth expertise backed by the stability of a global presence.
Hello and welcome to the Global View on this Thursday. I'm Andrew Gagan. Good to have you with us again here at AusBiz. Let's check the movement overnight. Global stock indices rising as President Trump issued final tariff notices to 7 trading partners. European shares closed at a 4-week high, led by the banks, on expectations of a trade accord between the United States and the EU. US indices closed higher after Federal Reserve meeting minutes spurred hopes that tariff-induced inflation pressures would not derail interest rate cuts this year. But the headline on Wall Street was Nvidia, briefly reaching a market capitalisation of $4 trillion, making it the first company in the world to reach that milestone and entrenching its position as the stock favoured to tap into the surge in demand for AI technology. Nvidia achieving a $1 trillion market value for the first time in June 2023, tripling it in a year, faster than Apple and Microsoft, the only other US firms with market values above $3 trillion. And in terms of that movement overnight, also boost coming from Amazon and Microsoft. It now has a market capitalisation of $3.75 trillion. Elsewhere, AES Corp rallied on reports that the power provider is exploring options including a sale. Boeing shares advanced on a broker upgrade as the aircraft manufacturer reported that its deliveries in June increased 27% on a yearly basis. United Health Group shares slipped on reports that the US Department of Justice is investigating how the health insurer deployed doctors and nurses to gather diagnosis that increased its Medicare payments. And Linda Yaccarino, the chief executive of Elon Musk's ex-social media site, is stepping down just months after the platform was acquired by the billionaire's AI startup XAI. This as X deleted anti-Semitic and pro-Hitler posts by its AI chatbot Grok. Tesla shares slipping on that news. Well, President Trump has issued final tariff notices to 7 minor trading partners while he says he's close to a deal with its biggest trading partner, the European Union. He said he would probably tell the EU within 2 days what rate it could expect for exports to the US, adding that the 27-nation bloc had become much more cooperative, saying they treated us very badly until recently, and now they're treating us very nicely. It's like a different world. Well, the president also stated on his social media website that as of August 1st, he would impose a 20% tariff on goods from the Philippines, 30% on Sri Lanka, Algeria, Iraq and Libya, and 25% on Brunei and Moldova. Now, elsewhere, minutes from the Fed's last meeting noted considerable uncertainty about the impact of tariffs on inflation, with most officials noting that tariffs could have a more persistent impact. Meanwhile, US wholesale inventories for May showed a 0.3% decline during the month. And following a better than expected 10-year note auction, the US 2-year Treasury yield fell to 3.85%. The 10-year was down to 4.34%. And the US dollar hovered near more than 2-week highs against the yen. Yet despite recent gains, the US dollar index is still down more than 6% since the president unveiled his Liberation Day tariffs at the beginning of April. And the Aussie at 65.4 US cents, and Bitcoin having hit a new record. It did hit 112,000 US dollars earlier. Quick check of commodities. Brent crude futures unchanged really at $70 a barrel. US copper futures widening their premium to the London benchmark overnight, reflecting President Trump's plan to impose a 50% import tariff on the metal, although COMEX futures latest eased. Iron ore remaining at about $95 a tonne, and gold edging higher at around $3,313 an ounce. So let's get across those market moves in the US. Ira Epstein joining us again from Linden Associates. Ira, welcome back. So let's just start with Nvidia. It is quite remarkable, isn't it, that growth of that company?
Only $4 trillion. It's amazing, isn't it? It's insane. You know, in December of 2023, I told my subscribers to my ETF stock subscriber letter, you got to jump in. I think we did it at $458. and traded back and forth if they followed the recommendation. You never know when you put out a letter who's doing what, but the letter is still basically 35% long. I think it's 30%. I'm doing this from memory. And their base price is $45.80. And I don't want to tell you how much they made on the way up because it's there. Here's what people don't get. It's not that I was right. I jumped in out of desperation. I saw an event take place that I thought was finally going to really change the world. And I had missed out on Tesla when that ride came and others. And every now and then, you've got to bite the bullet. Sometimes you're very late and say, where are we? This ride is not over in the video. AI is just got its feet down. The monetization process hasn't really worked yet, but it will over time. And everybody's going to it. OpenAI, for example, is going to move now to their own web browser. So you're getting now the monetization process. And the moment they see money coming in, here's how these things work. They then spend more money to get more processing. They need more plants, and it goes on and on. If you think of portable phones, a world-changing event. And I remember carrying a battery pack with me that was huge. And then I got them in my car. And then I got the Motorola flip phones. And finally, the Apple phone came out. It was a changing event in the world. This is the same event. And it's not about, oh, this is a tech bubble. This is very different. These aren't the what ifs. These are the what ares. There's a very big difference between the two. So all I can tell traders is, yes, you don't abandon your trading strategies. You don't just go hog in because you've missed something. You wait for your pullback moments and you make your move, but don't miss out. It's that simple.
Yeah, it is that dilemma for a lot of investors, isn't it? That you say, look, the stock looks expensive. I'll wait for the pullback, and it never comes.
Well, it does come. That is not completely. That's where we've been coming in. We've been waiting on pullbacks to the lower Bollinger Bands, and they've been happening. You've been getting them since we came in. I think we had 2 or 3 of them. And you go the opposite of the market. That's when everybody's dumping it and going, it's no good. And the market drops 20%, 25%. And that's when you, if you have the vision, have to step in and say, I got to come in when nobody wants it. I don't think you step in when everybody wants it. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It's not like it's just beginning. So you wait for those pullbacks. They'll inevitably come on news where every part of you says, don't do it. And that's what you should be doing. You should be doing it.
All right. Ira, let's turn to Donald Trump's tariff regime. Is he winning this trade war? Let's face it, he's got 2 trade deals at the moment, Vietnam and UK. Where is he at? Is this working for him?
First of all, he could never win. Your question is, could he get deals done? That's really the question. And the question is, he could never get real deals done in that time frame. The average trade deal takes 1.5 to 2 years to get done. I've been with you a long time doing this show, and I kept coming on saying, I think what he'll get is memorandums of understanding or letters of understanding. And that's all that he has. Even when you say the UK, we don't have a deal. We have a letter of understanding, and they're still working through what all that means. So that's how I would approach it. Is he winning the deal? We're not going to know if this wins for about a year, 1.5 years. What we know is it's bringing in a lot of tariff money. What we know so far is inflation in America, at least, has not picked up. It is climbed slightly. The Fed in its note said they still wonder where it's coming from. We haven't seen a downturn in the labor. And what the U.S. has done is they've increased prices on the rest of the world. We happen to be in a position in America where, unlike many countries, we have a lot of natural reserves. Not everything. When I saw the copper move of 50% yesterday, and I have been on your show saying there's a London Metal Exchange squeeze going on. They're taking that copper, sending it to America before the tariffs hit. I didn't think it would be 50%. I thought 10%, 20%. When I saw 50, I almost fell out of my seat, and I'm going, oh boy. But it's also the end of probably the squeeze, because now all the price goes into the market, and it's done like that. And as usual, we don't know what the 50% is on. The word copper is big. Is it copper ore? Is it finished copper products? I don't know what it is. So your question is a great one. It is about positioning everybody, getting what he wants, and then going through the deals. This afternoon, he punished Brazil. So while he did 6 or 7 deals today, late in the afternoon, he said, 50% tariffs. And if you do anything with BRICS, we'll put on other tariffs on you, that other 10%. So effectively, we have just stopped Brazilian goods from coming to America. At 50% tariff, most countries can't do business with us. That's where you're at. So is he winning? He's accomplishing his goal. He has to prove that America's growth can overcome the hurt this is going to cause. And if he does that, he will go down in the history books as something very special.
Is there an expectation, Ira, and perhaps this is reflected in what we're hearing from the Fed, that this is going to eventually feed through to those domestic prices in the States?
Interesting. I don't know. The Fed has its idea. Now that here's maybe the right way to answer that question. The Fed now knows the guideposts. It's got the rails. We know it's 10% on the downside. The biggest punishment on a new tariff is Brazil at 50%. So we're getting where we're coming in. I think if you look at a median, it's probably close to 25%. And with 25%, they can start forecasting models. Is that a better answer?
Yeah, right. It's still a great unknown. And he's working to wrong foot many trading partners, and he's succeeding in doing that at least. Ira, thanks so much for joining us from Linden Associates.
Thanks for having me.
Let's turn our attention to the local market before we get going. We are looking for a positive start there, currently up around 0.5% SPI futures. And that, of course, comes off the back of some positive market moves globally overnight. Stay with us. We'll get right across the open in just a couple of minutes' time.
This program was brought to you by LGT Crestone, local private wealth expertise backed by the stability of a global presence.